We've all done questionable things to get ahead in life. Most people are familiar that Chris Evans, yes, the Captain America of the MCU, once played Johnny Storm or the Human Torch in this live-action Marvel Fantastic Four film. There was actually two films that were questionably not so good. But did you know that Chris Evans played this role in Not Another Teen Movie? A spin-off guilty pleasure of many of us. So I'm sure you're thinking, Mr. X, what have you done that's embarrassing to get ahead in life? I wouldn't say what, maybe who? As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Welcome to the Extreme channel. We are looking at another Extreme collectible. This is Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch. It's a 1/4 scale custom statue. So 4 times smaller than what a real life version of this character would be. Custom means it's a private unlicensed commission. So Marvel didn't sign off on this, but the reason it was made is because Marvel won't sign off on any Fantastic Four statues, it seems like. Although recently XM Studios put up this thing for pre-order, which I think looks absolutely amazing. I talked more about it on theextremechannel.com. I do a daily blog about new pieces. Now this Fantastic Four has been added to my collection. I have an entire wall of Fantastic Four related stuff. The Watcher, Galactus, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom. And I currently own this thing right here, which he's going to pair well with. And of course I have a Reed Richards from the same group that did this, and an Invisible Woman coming as well. Now I can't give you any information where this statue came from. It's all sold out anyway, but we are going to do an Extreme review. And as you can see, there's a lot of amazing, awesome stuff on here. So if you're unfamiliar, Johnny Storm, or the Human Torch, one of the first really big Stan Lee hits, the Fantastic Four, has the power to turn his body into fire and create fire and manipulate fire. And they captured it really well with this statue. Now, as I said, there's different options here, but they all kind of tell the same story conceptually. So let's look at the concept first. Now, what they're doing here, on the bottom, the base, they're making most of the bases match. So it looks like this is actually part of the Fantastic Four plane or jet or whatever they call it. It is crashed somewhere, so maybe they're in the middle of a battle. You see a big rocky base, and then you have the fire. We have some translucent resin flames here. We'll show some light up features. And they've kind of insinuated that Johnny is flying. It's hard to make a statue appear flying because you have to base it in somewhere, but I think they did a really nice job here. Now you see his feet starting to light up, some flames coming out of those. You do see his uniform for his pants, because we wouldn't want to see him naked, because we don't know what a dick looks like when it's on fire, unless you've slept with the girl with a major source of herpes. But right here, I have displayed he still has his torso, where it's not on fire yet, just his arms are on fire. And again, we're going to look at the torso that's on fire, but he's kind of rising up, holding out his flames, a few different display options, and he is ready to go to battle. Here's a portrait again. There's some switch outs we're going to look at. Not quite on fire yet, but you can see the flames in his eyes, some ash around him. Really badass, really ready to go. I think this is awesome, especially with the display options, which again isn't part of the concept grade, but we'll look at that in a moment. Really cool concept. I think it's a 4 out of 5. Absolutely fantastic. I think the only thing that would have put it 5 out of 5 is if we could have had the whole thing on fire, or maybe even almost a translucent resin like some of these Iceman statues I've actually reviewed in the past. So really well done on that. Now as far as design, we're going to go over the switch outs, we'll look at the unboxing and assembly, we'll talk about the pros and cons. So first, let's see what he was like out of the box. I was surprised the box was so small because I know there's multiple torsos, but they use the standard custom black foam and straps. There were multiple layers, and some of the pieces were within more than one layer. You'll see what I mean in a second, but here's the top. So some different pieces. However, you do see that base is still kind of in multiple parts of different layers. Second layer here. And I always do this because if I ever rebox them back up, it's nice to come back and look at these. And here's the final and third layer. right, so some very cool stuff. Now first, there is a light up feature, the translucent resin flames down below. It does have an AC adapter, but here's what it looks like not lit up. And then here it is lit up. Now let's look at all the different display options. So there's 3 different portraits, and while they can be interchanged, this portrait that's not lit up yet, and we'll look at it closer during paint and sculpt, I really like, but you'd really probably only put this with the torso that he has his shirt on. Then these portraits can work for anything. You have one where he's serious, kind of like the one we just looked at, however, he's completely on fire. And then one where he's screaming. 2 different torsos, one where it's completely on fire. Now you can still see the uniform underneath this. And then one where he's not. Now there are a number of arm switch outs with this one. Left hand where he's kind of pushing down, almost like he's raising himself. Or one where he's kind of holding the fire up. Then the right hand, again, one where he's kind of pushing it down. Another one where he's holding the fire up. However, a third one where he's melting Doom's mask. That's definitely my preference. Now the other torso here, while the arm pieces do come off, they are your only display options. So I wish they would have done something a little bit different with that. If you're going to make that many options, let's really make some options. I love the fact that they offered another display bust right here. More and more companies should do that. If you have an extra torso or an extra portrait, I think it's an absolute must, and I love seeing more and more of that. Now, light up feature on a fire piece is incredibly important. So I wish there was some way maybe his eyes lit up here. That would have been next level. So I think there are a few missed opportunities. But otherwise, everything fits really well. Dimensions. So the widest point is about 13 inches. Depth is about 12. It sticks out a little more with this wing right here. Now the tallest point, his portraits will vary a little bit. So this is just under 24 inches. But if you have the fire portrait, it's going to be a little bit higher. Very displayable because it doesn't take up a big footprint, and I like that he's elevated so you can kind of put other pieces in front of him. Where I'm going to have him displayed once I get that Invisible Woman that actually ships next month, I think, and then the Reed Richards, which ships quite a while from now, I'll put them in front of him. Now, if you want to see what he looks like in the display, make sure to check out the Extreme Channel social media. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I post exclusive material on there alone. OnlyFans as well. So design, 4 out of 5, I think. I think it's not perfect. However, a few things they could have done better, but overall, very, very good. Now, paint and sculpt, when I opened him up, there were some things I really kind of questioned. Fire's tough to do. Do you do a translucent resin? Do you do actually painted polystone? Do you do kind of a mix between? As you can see, they use different options here. And I don't know what would have been better. It's more of a personal preference. But I think some things they really nailed. Check it out. All right, the base, I think they did a great job. I like the colors and the breaks in the gravel. Makes it look like a real, stone, whether they crash landed on Earth or wherever that's at. So it's really, really nice. And then you see the different parts of the ship. Kind of a turbine or motor right there. The wing, I like how it's damaged, but not too damaged and scored. The Fantastic Four sign, little Easter egg there. But yeah, so base is done pretty well. Some pipes and hoses coming out. Some damage, but not too much damage. Now the translucent flames, whenever you make translucent flames, it's difficult to get them painted correctly so you can still see the light up feature through it. And I think these could have been done better. I know my Museum Ghost Rider, I kind of like those a little bit better. They're a little bit more red, but I understand wanting to stick with orange. Red could have been too much, but the waves and the flow of them is really nice. I can see it coming up, so decent job on that, but again, kind of hard to judge. Now, as we look at the fire parts of him, both on this particular piece right here, and then of course the torso we'll look at in a second, it's hard to know how to make it look like real fire. Obviously, you want shades of orange and yellow and red, and I think they did a decent job on there, and even little additions like the flames coming off his boots and hands here that are a different colorization make it kind of look like it's coming to life. I like how it's melting the Dr. Doom mask. That's even more of a red right there. Pretty cool. And the flames look great as far as the sculpt. But let's dive more into the paint here. So it's almost like they took his uniform and then just painted it those different shades. Now, I don't know if I'm loving that, but I don't know how to do it better. I have seen it better. Like I think XM Studios' first Ghost Rider piece, the painted flames are hard to beat. So I wish maybe it was a little bit more like that. And I like how they have that blue holder for the display here. And I think they add additional flames. So it looks good. His anatomy looks good. And we'll look closer at that in a second. So here's the fiery portrait where he's screaming. You know, they even made the inside a lighter yellow for his tongue differentiation. Same with his eyes. I think that was smart. The flames look good coming off his head. Solid sculpt for sure. Flip around to the back, which you typically don't see, but you can see the outline of the uniform. So I'm sure they used kind of the same sculpt and then just painted it a different way, but I think they did a great job on his anatomy. He's athletic, trim, not overly muscular, and then the uniform itself, they did a really nice job. The pattern overlay of kind of this texturized surface right here looks great. Very clean paint job right here. You can see some folds in the uniform. Really well done. And just the way he's posing too, almost looks like he's raising up. So I think that's pretty cool. And depending on the display options for the hands, that makes him look like he's kind of elevating flying. Now, when I first pulled this portrait out of the box, I wasn't a fan. The more I look at it, the more I like it. The problem with blonde hair is they wanted to make his eyes kind of lighting up in yellow. I really like that black scoring around there. Like, the flame is coming from within. I think that's pretty cool and subtle. At first, I didn't like it, but the more I looked at it, the more I did. The lips, a little bit too purplish for me, but it's a nice contrast with the skin color. He is very tan, which is expected. They even have some dirt on his ear here, and obviously that's very intentional. Same with the other side. His hair looks fine. They could have had more differentiation in the strands. I talk about that a lot. So there's something about the portrait, maybe it's the expression, but one thing I really like, it almost looks evil, like exuding confidence that, hey, he's about to light your ass up. So I think that's pretty neat. I didn't think when I pulled this out I would use this portrait at all, but I'm really digging it, actually. There's so many different display options here. I would almost want 2 of these statues. And some of this fire, in the camera, it looks a lot better with these bright spotlights on it. It almost looks like it's alive. In person, it doesn't look like that, unfortunately. So some pros and cons, but overall, I think very solid on the paint and sculpt. All right, so the fire really affects it quite a bit, I think. And I've done many pieces in the past, a lot of Ghost Rider pieces, a few others, where the fire, some of it was better, some of it was worse. So really the fire part of it, I think is like a 3 out of 5, especially when it comes to the paint. But sculpt is pretty well done. I'm not a fan of the expression. I think the portraits could have been a little better like we talked about, but I'm still going to give the sculpt a solid 4 out of 5. Very impressed with it. Paint, I think it's also a 4 out of 5. I like what they were going for. It's just not necessarily my preference. I think you could argue it's a 3 out of 5, but we'll stick with 4. Now, because they don't make any Human Torch pieces, although I suspect XM will, this guy is already highly sought after because they only made 60 and he retailed for $1,000. That is a very good deal. A 1/4 scale piece should be $400 to $600, but again, they only made 60. You have the extra display options. I think that's pretty cool. Such a sought after character, especially once it hits the MCU. So right now, and this could change over time as more Human Torch pieces come out, but I think the value on this is a 5 out of 5 because such a popular group. Statue's not perfect, but it's done really well, so I think the value is definitely a 5 out of 5. I think I'm not going to, but I could probably get twice the amount of money I paid for this right now. So does he have the X factor? Is he a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, the fire is so hard to do, and I appreciate what they were going for, but I don't think he's a 5 out of 5. I think he's a strong 4 out of 5. Much better than average. Very, very cool statue. And I wonder if we had a lot of competition for Johnny Storm for Human Torch pieces, would he rank as high? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what other people put out. Like I said, I think XM Studios did a phenomenal job on their thing. I look forward to their Human Torch reveal. I may or may not trade up, depending how cool it is. I have their Super Scroll on order, because that's going to be part of this display, along with a custom one. Tons of cool stuff. So again, make sure you've not only liked this video, but you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification, because tons of cool stuff like that is coming in, and we're going to do videos on all of them. In the meantime, is this the best Human Torch statue? Because it's the only one. Comment that below, because you could also win. Because Do you think it was frozen or something? By the way, I'm sick as shit right now, so if I ever do sell this, know it has my disgusting germs all over it. Not that I'm, making out with it or anything. Well, comment below. This got awkward. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like. It costs you nothing and it helps me a ton. Just hit that like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. 40% of you haven't. This took all my energy.